Okay, this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a movie review of A Wrinkle in Time. The Disney got the rights to A Wrinkle in Time and has done A Wrinkle in Time Disney movie. Usually, when they try for an adaptation of a film, and it's like a storybook they haven't messed with. I don't know why they're doing another Mary Poppins, for instance. Where the material is an odd choice. They tend to not know what they're doing. Yeah, although it did remind me of something from my youth, having read apparently A Wrinkle in Time when I was a kid. Um, uh, it did remind me of something earlier than that. I didn't have to read it in school. I read it because parents are sci-fi buffs. It wasn't required reading. Uh, I don't think I got through it though, but I got through it enough to know that the it was bad. So in grammar school, we had this thing going through. Uh, they were spraying for fruit fly, Mediterranean fruit flies, and some of the bully kids on campus. I was in fifth grade, and some of the bully kids on campus were pretending like the other kids had been infected with because we read it in school, infected with the it. So they were all calling people the it. Now, I was not thinking of Stephen King's It, because although that had just come out a little later at that point, this book was from the 60s. And how they described this play yard thing back when I was a kid in the 80s, early 80s, was the character, the it, that was infecting them and doing body snatchers type of thing, is more like the one in the book, in Wrinkle in Time, the book, and in the movie, than Pennywise from Stephen King. Wasn't Pennywise. I read Pennywise later. I read Stephen King's It in junior high. Yeah, so a little later. But yeah, I think it was junior high, somewhere around there. Anyway, I was young. Might have been early high school. It's a long book though, and yeah, it's a different It. It could be Stephen King was inspired by this earlier '60s book, because in his book, It, with the killer clown, and a number of other things. The darkness is it. The darkness, the encroaching darkness. There's two different forms of the it. And that's who's it, what's it, and which is it, and everything. After seeing the Disney movie, it reminded me of the other versions of this. I didn't see the 2003 one, but I think there was one in the 70s that I actually did. This movie loosely adapts the book. Some of the critics of Stone Gremlins and the critics of the Nostalgia Critic have already said it's very loosely adapted. It's not. I've seen some of the reviews already. I was watching it after watching mine. I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat what they said. And yeah, it's not. It's her as a new director. It's her version of the story. They cut out extra siblings that are in it. They were bullying, and they cut out the characters. They changed the gender of some of the characters to make them fit better. They gave the it sort of a male evil voice, typical of a Disney villain sort of thing. I don't know if he really had that in the book. He was a trickster, sort of devil snake dude, kind of. But yeah, there was a lot of Bible allegories in it. They took those out of the Disney version. They made it more Zen and Buddhist. And they deliberately didn't mention Jesus in the dialogue about the different famous people. It's kind of weird that they wouldn't do that. They threw in Schindler, oddly enough. Did Spielberg have something to do with this? I don't know. Spielberg did Schindler's List, the movie. I don't think he did, but just because that's probably where they got it from. They wanted to refer to another movie that Oprah was in, or had something to do with, and Spielberg had something to do with. And it was very Spielbergian-like movie. The movie had a lot of that elements of this sort of recaptured childhood type of deal, Avatar-like stuff in it. And there's a floating lettuce lady at one point. Not in the book. She was a Pegasus in the book. She was a horse, a winged horse. which made a lot more sense. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, a faithful, oddly enough, there's a faithful adaptation of this Wrinkle in Time story that was called Rainbow Bright the movie. Yeah, Rainbow Bright the cartoon movie, in which it actually is a Pegasus, and she's flying around on it. Pegasus unicorn thing. Yep. And there's a darkness in it. Yep. So, there you go. Rainbow Bright, 1980s. That's a faithful adaptation of it. I understand there was like a cartoon adaptation somewhere too. That was probably a little better. Yeah, so it doesn't follow the book. It's gonna, if you're looking to watch the book, yeah, it's not. It was funny though that the plant lady, some of that footage leaked, and some of the character pictures and stills leaked, and were put on top of like Cameron's Avatar 2, which I don't think they've actually started filming yet. And they're all going like, "Oh look, it's a character from Avatar. I wonder what this is." No, it wasn't. It was the What's It lady from this movie. It's from Wrinkle in Time. Different movie. Completely different movie. There was an Avatar-like planet where they were also stealing from album covers, as Avatar did. Stole from 80s and 70s and 80s album covers. Very psychedelic in parts. Those parts that were psychedelic were kind of like the book a little bit. The suburb scene with the balls, that was like the book, except it was evil. It was like a dystopian evil place, and they're like one of them was one of them was not following rules and gets punished. So the It planet made more sense. Some of those early horror tropes kind of inspired some of my early sci-fi and fantasy. I didn't realize how much. This was probably one of the earliest things I read. The original Wrinkle in Time. I wasn't from the 60s, of course, the 80s, but yeah, it was required school reading in the after I was in grade school. I read it, but it wasn't required. I read it. But yeah, sure. There's a scene that they didn't address that's in the trailer in which she's explaining how they fold space and wrinkle it and all that. That is actually not in the movie. She just does it. So this is spoiler. She does. Yeah, she has the ability to enter the Tesseract and come out and go everywhere and stuff. And I guess they're trying to explain how she can fold space. I would have just gone with her folding space. The Tesseract stuff, which is a mathematical construct, is a little bit later. I would have gone with what the book did and just said she has a mental power that allows her to jump into wormholes in space. That makes a little more sense visually, and she does. So yeah, that would have, if I was doing filming it, I was okay. She's a mutant or something. She can conjure wormholes or something. Yeah, the snarkiness wasn't the same in the book. They were, some of the critics were complaining about the snarkiness, and in the book it was written for a 60s audience. The kids that were in the 1960s, a very different audience. The stuff that the adults do that's kind of mean spirited, if it was done nowadays, those adults would have been kicked out of the school or the kid would have been in foster care or something. Something would have happened that would have prevented like half the abusive stuff that's implied in the movie, in the book too. They wouldn't do that nowadays. If you make it a modern movie, it throws everything off. Thankfully, they did not put out their cell phones and do that, because that would have been really confusing. But they did make it somewhat modern. The costumes and clothing and whatnot. Oprah Winfrey chewing scenery and Reese Witherspoon chewing scenery. Oh, okay, whatever. I thought that yeah, like the Doug Walker's brother mentioned in another review. He was all like, "Well, how come they it wasn't Oprah. It was this. She's a light being. She's literally like a lamp thing with a tree, like glowing ahead kind of thing. She's a glowing tree an animated creature. Ew. Another thing that I used in a story and didn't realize, there was this glowing tenderly tree, like dendrite thing. That's what she looks like, a brain cell, like a neuron. Well, I guess that would be kind of scary, but that would be kind of cool too at the same time. Yeah. So. But yeah, in this one she's Oprah, and you're never convinced for a moment that she isn't Oprah, even if she's giant-sized. Okay. We got Chris Pine in it, and we got the Mindy Project lady, and we got somebody else. Okay, fine. The Walkers on the other channel again pointed out that it was like a Disney Channel movie. It kind of was. A big budget Disney Channel movie. Not half as cheesy as Hannah Montana the movie, though. Guess that part. Or not as bad as what was that one before? The Lizzie McGuire movie. Yeah, God. And then there's a Britney Spears one, The Crossroads. That was a little worse, I think. Yeah, she didn't have powers now. But yeah, so it was a Disney movie that didn't really need to have all of that. And I guess the stuff about the Zen dude with the arms going like, or actually no, not Zen. He'd be Vishnu. He'd be India, from India kind of guy. Dali India. Zen Zach Gampaniki. There's a character like that in the book, but he's kind of different. Yeah, just go and find it. He looks more like Gandhi. But yeah, I didn't object to the casting choices and changing some of that around, and certainly didn't object to there being more of a feminist female presence in there. That was okay. That was fine. It was that the story, that the acting was a little like an ABC Disney movie, and and not all that convincing in a lot of respects. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with the casting. They just should have given them a better script, except for one or two of the women performers. The Stone Gremlins guy was pointing out that little boy was so annoying, and he said rude things about it. Well, the actor, in the character, not the boy. But it's like, yeah, they just gave him like stuff that he didn't have anything to work with. So it wasn't all bad. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't A Wrinkle in Time. Like the John Carter of Mars movie, they should have called it John Carter of Mars, and they should have said, okay, this is a loose adaptation of that. And I guess that one was good. I didn't see it, but I heard it was good. This one I have seen, and it's just, it's okay. It's fine. Rotten Tomatoes is being extremely mean to it. Like, it's not like the book. No, it's not like the book, but the director said it's not going to be like the book. So, it wasn't like she was subverting expectations or anything. New buzzword. The lady talking in rhymes was different in the book, too. She had more of a... I like that the it was not Pennywise. No, the it was more like... The it in the book was more like the Borg in Star Trek, mixed with the serpent from Garden of Eden. It's just Borg serpent guy. And the dendrite woods. They did that all right in parts. The creepy forest was in there. I remember that. So they did that right. They didn't screw that up too bad. Them getting lost, Lord of the Ringsy kind of thing. That happened. But she had like older siblings that should have been there. They left them out. The physics people weren't. The mother and father weren't entirely clear, but that's just a script. They didn't explain it. They tried to in that trailer thing, but they cut that out of the movie. It's not 3 stars. It's 2.5. it's it's fine. Um, it'll keep your kid entertained, I guess, and if he's a little older, maybe like 6 or so, because it might be scary for somebody a little younger than that. Parts of it are scary. I would say demographics 8 to 12. Yeah, I could kind of imagine what that. Yeah, can't say that anybody cheered at the end. There was an emotional scene. There always is in a Disney movie, but it was and that they had the Stone Gremlins guys were reviewing the movie. The guy Brett Jones and his friend Sarah, they were reviewing the movie, and on their website. And his friend didn't like Labyrinth and Legend and and the Land Before and didn't like Neverending Story. He liked it. I wouldn't say this movie's on a par with those though. I would say they're better than this movie. Labyrinth is a weird movie though. It's strange. You got to be in the mood to watch that one. It's a musical, weird sort of like puppet like thing. Dark Crystal is this is more similar to Dark Crystal, I would say, which is another puppet one. Yeah, the creepy Dark Crystal. Actually, Dark Crystal is a better faithful adaptation of Wrinkle in Time than this movie. But yeah, also, if you think about it, Sliders TV series with them sliding through the wormholes to other dimensions. Wrinkle in Time. There's a TV series about it. Go watch it. They go in and out of time. Yeah, so Sliders. Yeah, been done. It's one of the science fiction tropes. Yeah, it was all right. It was fine. The audience was packed. It was a packed house on a Sunday. They had probably because of the time change, and everybody was just there because they were like an hour late. But yeah, an hour early for it. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, the character of the boy was annoying, but he was essentially encompassing the other siblings that were not in it too. So they had him, and they sort of combined with the other two guys. And they kept implying that the love interest kid in it was gonna kiss her or something, but he never did. They kept going to that over and over again, and it's just thought, no. No, in the book, he did. No. So anyways, but yeah, and no one kissed Oprah's cheek in the book either, because she was a glowing lamp tree thing, dendrite thing. Yes, yeah. He could have kissed her, but it would have been weird. I guess that might have been what they were thinking with that floating leaf lady that turned into a leaf. It's a floating cabbage leaf thing. Yeah. Looked like a luck dragon crossed with something from Avatar. But yeah, clearly wasn't. Yeah, what's Oprah? I don't know, Oprah. I don't know. Oh, my goodness. Why did they mention that's Schindler? Why was that in the movie? It's just how he was supposed to be one of their warriors of space or whatever. Oscar Schindler, really? I mean, yeah, he was a World War II figure that helped save millions of people, but and yet they left Jesus out, even though in the book, when she mentions the famous people, she mentions Jesus. So it was a creative decision of this story to replace that with Oscar Schindler, and that's just strange. I don't know why they did that. Why that creative choice happened. I don't know. I mean, that's fine. Mention him and Jesus too, I guess. I don't know. I'm thinking Spielberg must have had thrown that and come to them and throw that in there because he liked that movie because it's one of his Oscar movies. I don't know. It's just odd because there were Christian allegories in the book. Yeah, so... And nobody actually had corrodents in 1982 school. No one was actually melting or anything and turning into the it creature and becoming possessed of zombies. Well, yeah, it was funny about like, yeah, hypnosis or brainwashing. Brainwashing is possible, but hypnosis technically isn't because it's based on you actually would have to already be susceptible to it to be hypnotized. And if you're not going to do anything amoral when you're hypnotized. Even if you can be hypnotized, unless you already were predisposed to do that. So, brainwashing is different. Anyway, so yeah, so in this movie, the bad guy is able to hypnotize the boy and turn him evil. Of course, in the Kal Kat version, the time warp doesn't work, and they get sucked in, and basically they come back with most of their body parts intact. In the Mark's Cards version, of course, which was much later, they die. Evil takes it, kills them. But yes, so in both cases they die, but in my version more creatively. But in this movie they don't die. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know how their time travel. They're able to use fantasy magic to travel through wormholes to other planets. Because sure, why not? Now it made sense in John Carter, the book, Mars, the book, because he was dreaming the whole time. This movie is not dreaming. It's not a spoiler. Anyway, so that's my review.